Three things people with health anxiety always do. Number one is that they avoid going to doctors at all costs. So sometimes some people go to doctors repeatedly, only get a clean bill of health, but then there's another type of individual that won't even go to the doctor because they've already made up in their mind that they know exactly what's happening. And they don't want to go to the doctor because the doctor is just going to validate some terrible illness, terrible disease where they feel like, oh my God, I knew this was the case and I only have XY time to live. And so what happens with these individuals is that their avoidance behavior gets so strong that they just avoid going to doctors. Well, if you don't go and if you don't get it officially diagnosed, well then technically maybe you don't have it, right? But really what happens is that they end up just going on Google and they just try to figure this out on their own. And what happens as a consequence is they find something that seems so likely, so realistic that they just don't want to get it validated. But here's the thing. Google is a great place for misinformation, for conspiracy theories, and just because there's information doesn't mean it's the right knowledge. And that leads me to number two, which is they're often Google searching. They're often going on forums, trying to read comments, trying to figure it out. They start seeing people that have gone through something and it was cleared by their doctor, but it was something terribly wrong. Or they may feel like, oh my God, like this is something terrible and like I just don't want to even go to the doctor, and so I'll just figure this out on my own. And that's why the internet has kind of been a double-edged sword. On one hand, there's a great amount of information, but the problem is also it's too much information and it's hard to tell what's right information and what's wrong information. The key is that you should never be looking online to figure out what's happening. Even though you may be feeling some anxiety going to the doctor, the best way to eliminate the anxiety is just by getting everything ruled out. It's very simple, but what happens is the avoidance behavior is too strong. People are following how they feel more than what is the right thing to do. Number three is people with health anxiety are very hyper-focused with their symptoms. They are feeling physical symptoms, but they're so hyper-aware that every small change, every small adjustment, what happens is that anything they put their awareness on ends up growing. So as a consequence, the small aches and pains that normal individuals would experience, they feel an over-exaggerated response. And because it's exaggerated in that sense, they actually feel maybe there's something seriously wrong. And so if you really want to know how to overcome health anxiety, check my bio or check the comments.